And we got Brian Johnson from Republic Capital here with us today.
What's going on, guys?
Brian,
there he is with his usual smile, bro. You're a sight for sore eyes, man. Crazy couple of weeks. We need smiling and happy guests. How you been, buddy?
I'm good. Yeah, it's definitely anxious times. I mean, it's been anxious times for a very long time. So it's just constantly anxious now. My fiance said I have more gray hairs, apparently.
don't we all? I'm like completely white on the sides, man.
Yeah, my beard has all kind of gray in it now. I'm just like, yeah, dude.
I like funny. I just say I'm in my George Clooney phase.
Yeah. Funny how we were basically young, eager kids when we met, trying to do the right thing, and look at where we are now. Gray hair and, lots of wrinkles under the eyes.
Yeah.
And Brian was at, guys, if you don't know, if you're new to In the Club, or, this show's been running for about a year now, a little over a year. And when we first got started, it was messy. I'm not going to lie. We've definitely come a long way since then. Back when Brian was first on the show, guys, I don't remember exactly what episode or what the exact date was, but it was
2 or 3.
It was before the Firestorm.
It was one of the early ones, yeah.
I mean,
definitely.
Firestorm was still his Dexalot PFP. He was beaming down from Jupiter to do the show. I had freezing problems with my computer and all kinds of lighting issues and all kinds of stuff. It was we were very young in the game, you know what I mean? So we were kind of like looking back on that, Brian, and we put a little something special together, and we wanted to kind of start off with that to just kind of just kind of review. We're hoping, chat, no one get too emotional with this, okay? I'm hoping I don't get too emotional. We want to kind of revisit what we were doing back then and kind of show how far we've come. You know what I mean? It's just as a show and just having you back here, we felt like it was appropriate. So, producer John, if we could run that right now, everybody get your tissues ready. You might have to dry your eyes after this one. John, can we run this, please? Oh, I'm frozen.
Frozen in the club. Cool. Are we on Twitch? Is this Twitch? I am going to the Bahamas, though. Probably shouldn't announce on the internet.
Let's do something special for Brian if we can.
Oh, shit. No way. Yeah, this is way better than Zoom or Twitter Spaces. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much. We'll see you again next time.
Yeah, that's right, Brian. We hope you had the time of your life here on In the Club.
I did. I was like 20 pounds heavier then too.
Well, chat. We hope you had the time of your life seeing that blast from the past. And
sure,
it's
that was before the FTX collapse too. I heard
you were going to Bahamas from what I could see. That's pretty funny. Yeah.
that event was a shit show.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Man. So, I would say let's jump right in. Obviously, you've been around a long time. Brian is one of those folks who actually has seen more than one cycle. Chat, I don't know if you know this. He's been there previous cycle before that, and he's been here this cycle. My guess is he'll be around a lot longer than most of us. Hopefully, we'll be right alongside with him. But Brian, how are things? How do you see the market evolving? And what is forefront of your mind nowadays?
Yeah, things seem dire, and they certainly are in some regard. With the bank crisis going on, another bank crisis, I should say. But it is interesting to see. That we have crypto now as a alternative to the traditional banking system. I would say we're not there yet in terms of fully replacing the banking system, and we're probably eons away. Obviously, there's regulation needed, but it is interesting to see that the last banking crisis was really the catalyst to the creation of Bitcoin, right? And now we actually have a crisis where Bitcoin is around. So it's definitely interesting as someone who's been in the space through many ups and downs, just to see how that's all playing out. And, on Twitter, seeing people making bets on where, Bitcoin's going to go, and, some people throwing, their lunch money in the pile.
Lunch money for you. Lots of money for a lot of people, but hey.
Yeah, I can't speak to, Balaji and, if that's going to hurt him or not, just his bet, but it's cool. It's fun to see, I would say. We're still at very much a growing pains and rails and tunnels, I should say, of the industry, where we still need that a lot of key infrastructure,
Sure.
a lot of key regulations, and retail is still very much put off by the crypto space in terms of we just had another hack, the Euler hack.
Let me ask you one thing, Brian. I think first and foremost, let's make sure nothing that we're discussing here is financial advice or anything like that.
Oh yeah,
but
thank you.
If you want to do your spiel, let's do that.
Yeah, just for everyone in the chat and just for the future viewers, because I know this is going to be saved. Republic Capital or registered investment advisor. I'm a partner there, and nothing I say should be taken as investment advice or it's just all my own opinions. We're actually an investor in Dexalot as well, so actually personally a fan in Republic Capital, believer in Dexalot and the mission, but again, nothing is investment advice coming from my lips to your ears.
Sweet. Now, here's the very simple question, in my opinion. Hypothetically, if what the Maxis wanted happened, right? Meaning SVB disappeared, government said, nah, we don't care. SVB brought down FRC brought down a bunch of other banks, and the traditional financial system, for all intents and purposes, disappeared overnight. Do you think crypto is ready to take over the reins?
Oh, not at all. 100% not at all.
Right?
It's the learning curve is just too damn high. And your mom, my mom, my grandparents, for that matter, just they won't even touch it, right? So I mean, at least my parents. Well, I know I do know some parents that do, but it's too complicated for them, right? I mean, we're especially in the Western world, we're selling new financial products to the overfinanced, right? And that's why you see in the underdeveloped world, and the core mission of crypto being banking the unbanked, I should say.
Exactly.
It's growing there, even in these uncertain markets, even in war-torn countries, and so forth. And their banking systems have been forever, mistrusted. And rightfully so, and just the currency devaluation and such. But here, we're kind of sitting cozy. It's kind of like, why change in some people's minds? And so it's much harder of a sale here.
And more than that, right? Like, think about the amount of transactions you need, the ability to pay for things. Oh yeah, of course. Bitcoin, you can put it on Coinbase, or in some limited fashion, you can use Lightning to pay for stuff. I'm not disagreeing with that, and I'm not disagreeing with digital assets becoming a medium for payments. But if the financial system disappeared today, we're all going to get messed up. Like, we're not going to be able to get paid from our work. We're not going to be able to go out and buy bread easily. And, I actually can't even imagine what would have happened, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, we still need the rails until our new rails that we're building can replace them as a drop-in, such that the end users don't even feel the change, right? That's kind of how I look at it.
Exactly. And crypto is tied to, electricity, right? And our, internet infrastructure as well. I mean, totalitarian governments, they have shut off the internet in Iran, right? It's and if you want to buy things with your crypto, it's like, how are you going to, if there's, I mean, I guess with the phones, and you could do it via Bluetooth or something, but still, like, if it's, on your ledger, or it's on your computer, I mean, shutting off electricity if your phone dies, right? It's how you doing to charge it. So there's many ways the government still can fight back. This is why regulation is so important, especially in the U.S., where we kind of lead in the financial regulation charge. I'm very actually disappointed in how regulations going on the U.S. side. I hope it turns around. To me, it just seems like people just, trying to win the next election instead of doing the right thing.
Yes, of course.
It's very disappointing. There's rumors about Coinbase trying to go offshore, and you have Kraken getting slammed with the staking suit, or I think it was just I don't think it was a suit, but just
like they're all getting investigated, etc. Right? Before we go on, I just want to give sort of a quick second for Jimmy. I think our keyword is out. If you want to mention that, right?
Oh yeah. And I wanted to give a shout to 0x Lord Merchek for the sub. Thank you for that, sir. Guys, the keyword is pizza. Type it in the chat if you want a chance to spin the wheel and win that PFP. Of course, our round 1 PFP winners or season 1 PFP winners got early subnet access. So remember that when you're trying to win and spin the wheel. I can't tell you what we're going to do for our season 2 winners yet. That's still under wraps. But if you want a chance to spin the wheel and win that Dexlot PFP. Type the word pizza.
I still don't have a Dexlot PFP, so
say that again,
wheel. I still don't have one, so I said, "Oh no, I do have one." I don't have one that looked like the Firestorm though.
Those are like Dexlot specific, but I'll see what we can do. Maybe
those are Gen 0.
Those are Gen pre-0, I would argue.
Yeah,
exactly. So guys, pizza, just like the food, just type it in the chat if you want a chance to spin the wheel later in the show here.
Type it, folks. Yes. Going back to your point, Brian. Now, for the audience out there, the way the regulation seems to be evolving in the US is through enforcement. Right? Particularly enforcement at the back of FTX. As some of you may know, FTX was spending a lot of money through Alameda, through SPF, whoever, donating money to political parties, going to DC and doing a lot of lobbying. And obviously FTX disappearing and vaporizing $8-9 billion worth of its customers have triggered a lot of, let's call it a reaction, right? Now, I know this is not the way we want it to go, right? However, getting a real start to the process is good. Now, US, if anything, is good at iterating and finally arriving at something that's both business friendly as well as workable, right? The key differentiation in the crypto space is the fact that this asset class is not an asset class that's invented by the existing traditional finance machinery, right? Like the CDSs, the credit default swaps, or mortgage-backed securities, whatever you name it. Like the old financial instruments were created by the financial services industry. Therefore, they got adopted faster. In our case, we created something, or let's say Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever he or she may be, created something that is not within the same system. Therefore, I think the growing pains towards adoption is going to be more painful, and that's exactly what we're experiencing, right? The regulators, particularly the SEC, is approaching this from a position of fear and probably pressure than, hey, let's try to make this work and let's make it business friendly. I think in the end, exactly as you said, what's going to end up happening is amazing companies, amazing talent is going to go offshore. I can tell you one thing, Hong Kong. Yeah, it's happening. Yeah. Hong Kong just released, I think, a regulatory guidance letter associated with crypto exchanges, I believe. Hold me accountable, guys. I saw something.
No, you're right about that. They're trying to be definitely more pro crypto.
Exactly. And then they are probably working on trying to make DeFi work. Again, in its current form where 90% of everything is a scam, it's not the right way for it to work, right? We need some guidance for businesses to be able to conform, provide their services to the people. And I think US approaching with a hammer rather than a pencil, I think is a problem. But I think, as errors are made, this country is good at iterating. Even if it comes late, I think it's going to come. So I don't see it as pure doom and gloom. We got to start somewhere, right?
I don't see it as doom and gloom either. I think, innovation definitely is going to have its home here still. It's just a matter of the next election cycle, and when we get out the
of course,
incumbents.
Of course. I mean, imagine you mentioned that. Yeah, you mentioned it. If Coinbase, a publicly listed U.S. company with hundreds of millions of dollars worth of a market cap, maybe a couple billion now, I didn't check their latest. If they go offshore, right, and their tax related liability ends up just being who are my U.S. customers, and they derive their revenue outside, etc., it's a net negative for this country, right? It's a net negative for the U.S. I think people will eventually realize that they care about taxes more than trying to bat out a small Web3 community, and I think these things will get fixed. But hey, for example,
it's just like weed legalization, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Weed legalization, right?
Yeah. We're going through that in Minnesota right now.
It's tax revenue.
Say that again?
Yeah, I said that juicy tax revenue.
Yes, exactly. Well, they're going through it in Minnesota right now, and it's been the slowest process ever. I'm in Minneapolis. It's been through, I think, about 20 committees and 10 subcommittees. So it's exactly what you guys were saying. It's everything's gonna take time. It's gonna be step by step, because that's the way they do this kind of stuff. But
and the interesting thing, for example, Republic has been on the forefront as a company, not Republic Capital maybe, but Republic Global has been on the forefront of being the compliant way to help projects launch. Right? Through security tokens, through various, etc. And again, I think it's just a matter of us, the operators within the space, trying our best to educate our legislators and bring them to our side. Ultimately, we are constituents. We vote. I think they're going to care about our votes, so they're going to want to listen. That's kind of how I look at it.
I hope so.
Yeah,
you are right about Republic. We started back in 2016, and our mission was to democratize private investing, because it's still very much a closed club. And back in 2016, Obama, with the Jobs Act, allowed retail investors to invest in startups. Although small, it's actually, the law has since upgraded to 5 million per raise for crowdfunding, which is definitely super interesting. And we actually have our own token offering platform as well. Now, much like CoinList, you have to be accredited, though. It's
of course.
Obviously KYC, AML, and everything, but we're getting there in terms of allowing, everyday people, I should say, even the accredited investors get out, miss out on private stuff, and usually the VCs, like Republic Capital, kind of take the whole bag. But it's becoming more and more democratized slowly. That's how it happens in capitalism. It's happened slowly.
Exactly. And given the global tensions, again, I'm maybe I'm too much of an optimist, but I don't think the U.S. is the type of a country that's going to lose tax revenue, that's going to lose innovation, that's going to lose talent, because they're too slow in the uptake of regulation and whatnot. But anyways, let's change gears, man. What is most exciting to you nowadays? What do you see is the more exciting type of thing that you would like to see more of, or you're looking at today, in terms of crypto, in terms of Web3?
I was going to ask, are you just talking in general, or talking?
What's your favorite movie?
Look, you're sitting at a seat as a part of a very
Stellar again.
Oh yeah, don't we all, man? I love Interstellar. What I mean is, you're seeing trends, right? What is the biggest trend that you think is happening in Web3? You can look at it from an investment perspective, or you can look at it as a growing vertical perspective. You tell us, man. We would love to get your sort of
definitely.
So, being in the VC space, we definitely see a lot of what's going on the back end, especially most people don't know or assume that institutions are out, but I would say that they're even more so in still. They see it as this down market as an opportunity to get in more, and so they also see it as this is the way the market is going in terms of financial products, and they want that seat at the table, and they want a big piece of the pie. So you have still these large institutions that are going in deep, like the Citadels of the world, right? I'm not saying that it's guaranteed that Citadel is, but I'm just saying that the likes of Citadels are actually building out their strategies, building out their desks, building out their investment thesis as well, their investment desks as well, in how they actually gain this market share in this new market. And so that's interesting to see, like institutional DeFi, institutional staking, we've seen all that come through on our desks, and it's those are investment opportunities on our side, and not investment advice, but those are for the accredited investors of the world, and that's one aspect that I'm seeing that's I think is going to come before retail, as well as the institutions are going to build out the products that are more trusted, that the older generations and even maybe some of the millennials actually do trust more, because there is that person to call at the end of the day, a hotline where, hey, my money's stuck on a bridge, can you help me? Or
right.
My money's stuck on a wormhole, or why is my yield, down to 50% instead of 5,000?
Sure.
That probably won't happen, but that's one aspect. The other, I think, that is particularly exciting to us, but yet we're not making many bets in that space, the gaming side, particularly because the learning curve is still too damn high, just like the rent is too damn high in New York City. And I think what's going to fix that is obviously new ways of logging in, multi-party compute solutions for wallets, but also on the discoverability side for gaming. So why I love Avalanche so much, and why I think it only makes sense currently right now for AAA games and actual AAA games and actual studios, not the ones that you see like in their bio, say AAA game, XYZ Twitter, and it's some dude that left, his bank desk at Goldman Sachs and started a game studio.
Right.
Actually, Avalanche is the only chain that makes sense for a AAA game studio right now, like Valve, Epic Games, to fix their marketplace. It's the only. I don't care anymore about just like playing, agnostic. It's right now, as the current tech stack is, it's the only chain that makes sense, and that's because you have basically the underlayer. It's like a private meets public blockchain, where through subnets, just like Dexalot, you still control your private keys, but say for a game studio, they want a little bit more control in terms of like the gas, which VM they want to build on in terms of throughput. Also, say, burning NFTs that are stolen and then reminting them for the users, much like a typical Web 2 scenario, right? And so it also enables for actual console games. So now on the back end, a game studio, say like one that's going to launch with their game in June. Their announcement's coming up next week. I can't say. It'll launch on PlayStation, Xbox, you name it. They'll probably even have a TV
show. Wait. Which game is this? You can't say? You can't?
They're making the official announcement on Monday, so, and who knows if that gets pushed back again. You know how game studios are.
Yes.
Push back.
But we're talking about a proper game studio here, real game, all that good stuff, right?
Yeah, the last game they made had 100 million players, made $1 billion in the course of 5 years. It was, actual AAA title.
Yeah. And alpha is like flowing. It's not leaking. It's like it's not drip.
You know what? Yeah. It's super. The valve is open. The dam is broken.
Let's go. We love it.
And I'm just tired of these some of these BD teams of various chains just basically lying about their capabilities to these game developers, and it's just driving me crazy. So every game developer I talk to, they're like, "Oh, we're going to receive a grant from XYZ chain." I was like, if you need a grant, then you're not that confident in your game being successful, right? And you're just going to take the money and just, at the end of the day, you're probably going to have to give up because you chose the wrong chain. The chain breaks down because some game where you collect sunflower seeds is actually increasing the gas cost. And so again, harping back to I'm going on a tangent. Harping back to why Avalanche is the only chain that makes sense right now, and I say right now because there's other tech that's going to come out. Sui could be a viable option, but also having your own token as a utility, so that helps on the legal framework side as well. And where it's used as the gas. I'm sorry, I said utility, but I didn't mention gas. Where your token is actually used as the gas, doesn't rely on the native L1 token. But also you have the interoperability between the chains with the Avalanche warp messaging. So at the end of the day, the main sell point for NFTs and gaming is just that it's a fiat off ramp. Like, it drives me crazy that everyday gamers are still so angry and
They hate it
by NFTs.
Yeah, they hate
I'm
it.
like, I look at my Steam account, I look at the marketplace at Valve, which hasn't been updated in 13 plus years. And I have, got like maybe like $5,000 worth of Dota 2 items for playing over the 13 years, and I can't turn that into cash. And also, I've had items stolen from my account, and they never reimbursed me. I was like, it must be on a blockchain then, because you can't actually. I actually showed you who stole the items from me.
Correct.
They canceled their account. I still couldn't get back my cool Phantom Assassin Arcana.
That's trash.
Anyway, it basically takes off the AML KYC issues from Valve, or say like the game studio, because you bridge off of that game chain that you're on onto the Avalanche C chain. You can even bridge off there to Ethereum if you want, and sell it there. And then the tax burden's on you as the user to report that to the IRS or whatever jurisdiction you're in. And having it on the back end layer, just harking back to the consoles, it makes so much sense for consoles, because at the end of the day, Sony, Xbox, they just want to get paid in cash, right? And so if the blockchain's on the back end layer, the game studio is creating the account for you. You log in with your account, your email with your Battle Pass account or your Epic Games account, and if you want to say discover, and to talk about the discoverability and why I think harping back to the beginning where I said gaming is exciting, is that you'll have that discoverability factor where someone's playing the free-to-play game, whether it's a battle royale or it's some kind of battle chess or some kind of looting game, and you say, oh wait, how much are my assets worth? And then you discover basically how to bridge it to the native, more the DeFi chain that's on your the existing whatever L1 you're on, and then you basically exchange it for cash. And the studio also gets the royalties from that as well. I mean, who knows if there's they're able to use Blur or something, but at the end of the day, it's that simple, right? And Avalanche makes it that simple. And there's no other chain right now that allows that customization for those game studios. I mean, maybe it's a bit harder to set up subnets right now, a little bit more costly, but in the long run, if you actually care about your project and care about your company, it's the one that makes the most sense right now. And that's what I tell game developers all the time when they ask me what chain to use. I say, in all honesty, the only chain that makes sense for your studio, if you don't care about the cash, you don't care about the free money, is Avalanche. Yeah, I mean, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah,
on that,
I mean, go ahead, Jimmy.
Well, I was just going to say the reason that's so huge is because I think like the vast majority of people are on console. And I mean, guys, imagine logging into your PS profile and your wallet's just already connected and you can just play Web3 games like on your PS5 or on your PS4 or on your Series X or whatever. That's insane. Just to like, go ahead. Sorry.
So Sony plans for that too. I think they just filed a patent for for an NFT marketplace.
Yeah. Well, they just did a Discord
so
integration.
It's coming.
Yeah. They just did a Discord integration too. So it's like they're planning for all this stuff. But like, yeah, dude, that's going to be so game changing. I mean, I'm just like, I'm getting excited just thinking about it, basically.
And the thing is, they don't care if the blockchain is on the back end. It's just if it's on the front end, they care about the scammers and they care about the spam. Right. So if it's on the back end, it's off their hands. And then it's up to the gamers to go into the settings, put in their hot wallet address.
Right.
And then because the studio runs the chain, their own subnet, they pay for the gas fees to bridge it off.
Perfect.
But with AWS, right, I don't think you need gas. Right?
Perfect segue to all the things that are happening, right? We had Patrick O'Grady Pog on the show. He talked about Hyper SDK before they released it, and then they released it. Now we have Hyper SDK where he is showing a 5-minute tutorial on launching your own subnet, doing things with it, right? Subnets are the most customizable way to do these applications. You can't go and adjust Arbitrum to your own purpose. You can't go and adjust Ethereum or Polygon or whatever to your specific purpose. However, on Avalanche, you can do it exactly for your own reasoning, right? Dexalot, which you may know, and I would love to hear your opinion about it also. Runs on a subnet of its own. What do you think? Like, have you used it? What is your opinion on how that works?
And I was actually very, very impressed because I know the issues with the C chain and the connectivity between the subnets for the C chain for now until that the
AWM
gets turned on. So utilizing the layer 0 framework, I thought was very, very smart and super seamless. In my opinion, and it was
once you're in the subnet
as an investor, but also as a user, to see that working. And now that I think you've turned on the market makers, right? Too. So
correct.
You have 5, I believe, right now, which is more than typical.
We have not disclosed the number before, but I guess we do. Now that you mentioned it, another alpha drop by Brian. I mean, you said it, cat's out of the bag. We have 5 or so now with, I'm not going to lie, like there was a time where every week we were getting one more asking us about API keys. How do I integrate? Do you have documentation? That number has increased. We're actually getting proposals on partnerships from market makers more than once a week now. We literally reviewed a couple more over the last couple of days. Some really good teams are out there understanding the value proposal that Dexalot brings to the table, particularly through the subnets. Because if you think about it from a market maker's perspective, you need the cost to be low because every time you make a transaction, it costs you money. And then you need it to be fast so that if you get a fill or if the price in the rest of the market moves, you need to be able to adjust your pricing. And the subnet allows them both. Managed, low fees, combined with the fast finality that Avalanche consensus gives you, and an application-specific blockchain where somebody collecting sunflower seeds or flowers for their herb that they're going to make as a part of the game does not affect the trading experience, right?
And it's a centralized feel and a decentralized execution.
Oh, look at this guy! This guy should be our,
which is perfect. With
spokesperson.
with FTX collapsing, it's like, here's your solution.
Exactly. I mean, unlike FTX, we don't hold people's assets, right? Everything stays on a smart contract. It does not even leave your host chain, right? Right now it's C chain, but imagine if this deposit capability existed on every chain that layer 0 supports, right? Layer 0 supports more than just Avalanche. And imagine depositing from your favorite chain, trading on the subnet for the lower cost, quick finality, and then getting done, right? Exiting, like staying on your chain without having to bridge. I know one of the issues a lot of the community and a lot of people out there are, everybody's married to their initial bags, right? Whether this is Ethereum or whether this is
a religion.
Yeah, it's type of a cult, and I get it.
Right, definitely.
People don't want to bridge from one to the other unless there is 200,000% APR. I get that. But if they had the ability to quickly and cheaply trade whatever they need to trade without leaving their chain, maybe that's a big value proposal that we can bring to the other chains, not just Avalanche.
You'll be like the UN.
Kind
United
of.
Nations.
Yeah, exactly. UN of trading, man. I like that.
These chains are like nations, if you think about it. Nations with religions. So you have, it's not like a browser where you can easily, switch from Netscape to Chrome, right? Because the tech is better. You have actual capital locked into these things, and so you have this. It's part of your personality too.
Yeah.
That way.
Right.
And
One more.
There are some chains that just won't friggin' die.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of ghost chains out there.
You have huge treasuries. It's just like, it shouldn't take 6 minutes for a friggin' swap. Give me a fucking break. After you've had 7 years to develop, and it still takes 6 minutes.
Fully agreed. Man. Again, it's tech that iterates, right? But I guess, let me tell you one interesting thing that I think you will like, and I have not told you this before, and I guess whoever's on the chat is going to hear it as well. Now, UI UX is very important, right? Our initial iteration looks more like the Binance and the Coinbase of the world. It needs a little bit more refinement, of course. That has been worked on for a while. We have development ongoing for a new version. But more importantly, to get the next million or billion users into crypto, you need this to be very easy. You need to get rid of extra clicks. You need to get rid of having to know what a subnet is, what a C-chain to subnet transfer is, and all that. And there is some interesting stuff that's coming pretty soon. In fact, it's been in testing, I'm going to say, which will reduce the number of clicks, reduce the amount of complexity that our end users need to know to be able to trade on the subnet. That's all I'm going to say. This one is going to be coming soon, I imagine. I'm not sure if I was allowed to say it or not, but given that you gave so much away, number of market makers and such, I figured I'm not going to get more yelled at. Why not just say it out loud, right?
Just do it.
I thought you revealed the new UI UX.
Not the full version. I think you've seen screenshots. I think our investors have been asked to give us opinions, but in comparison to what we have today, it looks a lot better, and it's definitely less many clicks. What I'm talking about right now, though, is a little bit
I'm not gonna lie.
different. Yeah.
We've touched on it briefly here before, but I think that was the most details we've ever given on the show right now. So I, for one, am very excited about it. It's clean, man. It's really clean, guys. I think everybody's really going to enjoy it. And like Firestorm is saying, just kind of streamlining everything to make it as easy as possible, I think, is the
and for example, the wallet situation, like having to switch from one network to the other, that's completely out of our control, right? Like, unfortunate reality is that subnets are different chains. When you transfer stuff between, you have to switch to your RPC endpoint, and we aren't controlling your wallet to change your RPC endpoint. Therefore, smart wallet builders need to understand that this is a requirement for the UX and implement it such that they are able to answer and talk to multiple RPCs at the same time.
Exactly.
MetaMask so far doesn't do that. Hopefully we don't get spammed by bots now that I said the unholy word. But other wallets still don't understand, even though everybody's been screaming and saying this is going to be a multi-chain world. There aren't that many multi-chain applications, and Dexalot being one of the forefront projects in that regard, we only see one wallet, which I will not name for the moment, but everybody can imagine what it is, who understands this need, who is building it, and who's going to make it available for our product and our end users, right? So it's coming. When it comes, things are going to get better. One piece at a time, man. It's like an onion. You've been around long enough to know how long it takes to build stuff. So we're kind of we're kind of going down the exact path that you always said. Got to keep building. You got to bet on the builders rather than the macro.
When do you think the new UI UX is going to come out?
So this piece that I talked about is a standalone feature. It's in testing right now. It's going to come out. The full UI UX overhaul, we're hoping, soon. I can't give you an exact timeline because the design phase is completed. It's currently in development. So our devs are actually implementing the pictures that you've seen, the workflows that you've seen. Because it's a large change, we probably are going to make sure, take our time, test it, make sure everything is good. Sometime this year for sure. Hopefully earlier part of the year than the later part. I mean, our focus is more on trading features because the community gave us more feedback about the trading pieces. Market makers, as you know, have been going well. We now need to give people easier ways to trade, but that's kind of how it looks.
Definitely.
Let me ask you.
Oh, go ahead. No, you first, please.
I was just going to say, bet on the builders, not on the macro. What's your view on the macro? I know this is kind of going away from crypto, but we'd love to get your opinion on the macro as well.
If I was a trader right now, I probably wouldn't know what the hell to do, to be honest. My bet is that the Fed doesn't raise the rates, right, coming up.
So you don't think they're going to raise rates? Interesting. Okay.
I just don't see how they can, at least in this period. But I've been wrong many times. So
yeah, I fully agree with you. Given everything, they probably shouldn't raise you would think, but ECB recently said we now have the tools to protect the banks. Therefore, our fight with inflation continues. I've seen a statement like that. Fed's mandate, as you know, is employment and inflation. So
yeah, I did see the Fed, the Atlanta Fed did say there's a 0% chance at a 50% or 50 bips rate hike. I guess they could still hike it under 50 bips.
Right. Right.
But I think it's very dangerous in our balance of government intervention in our system with the banking system and capitalism in general. If you're guaranteeing 100% of deposits across all these banks, like what's to stop these banks from just betting it all, on red at the casino?
And that's exactly the challenge. I think the issue that you're pointing to is the fractional reserve system, which, if you ignore the tech, ignore the blockchain, ignore the consensus, crypto as it stands today, in DeFi particularly, is fully backed reserves, right? Whether in Aave you have your full assets and nobody takes your assets and makes bets with it. Maybe what we're observing now is that the fractional reserve mechanism going away. But this is what I was trying to allude to earlier as well.
Deposit-only accounts.
Deposit-only accounts. The challenge right now is the existing system allows banks to lever themselves, right? You give them 100 deposit, they have to keep 10. With the 90, they do various activity to generate returns for their shareholders. So if you think about the shareholders of all the banks, the powers that be that make money from the financial services industry, they're going to resist a change to this fractional reserve. And I think that's what we're seeing, the battle between the fractional reserve system and the traditional finance and the folks who you need to protect the deposits of, etc. It's going to be very interesting to see how the system evolves. And crypto obviously is fully backed assets. Nobody's supposed to take
that. All the loans that were on DeFi were paid back first because you can't negotiate with the smart contract.
They get liquidated, right? There is no, let me give you a week. There is no, I believe in your brand. Let's treat you differently type thing. Code does not
let me take you out to dinner,
right? Yeah. So our COO, Tim Shen, says bank capital requirements will prevent them from taking too much risks. I guess, one potential outcome here is maybe the existing requirements are going to be increased. Basel III obviously has certain requirements. Maybe the number, triples that they have to hold cash. And obviously their profit margins will shrink, but they will become safer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're also huge enough where it, should be just like a little drop.
Not as big as you, man. I'm rooting for you guys' success. Yeah. Hopefully you guys will be the beacon.
I'm rooting for you guys more.
Yeah.
No, you.
It's mutual. No, you. No, me. You. That's Spider-Man meme, right? Where everybody's pointing to each other.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This is very cool, man. I got to say, because when we were going through the footage to make our, emotional video from last year's show, going through that, one of the things you asked, Brian, was about our subnet. We kind of talked about that. We touched on the subnet and you were like, so what's you guys' subnet about? And it is so funny to look back on that a year later because so much has happened, obviously, but we did launch the subnet and I think we are at a good spot. We're really happy with how it all turned out. So it was cool to kind of revisit that in light of everything that's happened in the past year and just kind of, see all that. So it's awesome to have you back on the show, man.
It's great to be back.
Definitely.
And it was cool to see the progression.
Thank you.
From, deck to subnet launch.
Yes, sir. We were one of the earlier subnet maxis. I don't know if we're a subnet maxi. We were one of the first adopters of the vision of the subnets because we saw the benefits. We thought it would solve a lot of our problems, and it did.
Yeah.
Right. Now it's a question of scaling UI and giving people the better way to trade rather than trying to solve, the transaction costs so much money or, things are too slow. We're past that now. I think the path from here on forward is a bit easier than where we've come. People may argue with me, but hey.
Yeah.
Definitely.
1 to 10 is the hardest, but 10 to 100.
Yes, sir.
There it is. There it is. Well, Brian, I know you'll come back because this is your second appearance. So I'm not even going to.
I enjoy this. Yeah.
So yeah, we'd love to have you back anytime, man. But I got to ask you one more thing before we let you go. I'm going to play some music to take us out after we spin the wheel and get a PFP winner. Do you have a song request? I get a song request from all our guests.
Oh shit.
I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot, so no worries. If you want to give me even a genre, I can work with that.
You got any Led Zeppelin?
Of course I do, man. We got you covered. Yo, I got you all the way covered.
Chef's choice.
All right, we're gonna do it we'll do a medley. I'll do a couple Zeppelin joints for you. How about that? Okay. And I was doing a lot of rock, like classic rock in my DJ sets on Twitch last night. So maybe we'll just do a whole thing. But Brian, this has been so awesome, man. Thank you for hanging out with us again.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude. We gotta have you back and talk more Republic, talk more Brian Johnson's world. And
let's do it.
This is
happy
awesome,
to give
again?
I said I'm just happy to give a behind the scenes.
Definitely, dude. Yeah. We're happy to get a look, man. So thank you again for being here. And we're gonna have Brian back real soon, guys. Make sure you follow him on Twitter and make sure you follow Republic Capital on Twitter. And Brian, we will see you again soon.